Hey there, and welcome to Scandal Steep. There are stories that seem too raw for the big screen, too heavy for mainstream media to capture, and Roxanne Shanté's life is one of them. Long before female rappers were celebrated for their boldness in bars, a 14-year-old girl from Queensbridge stepped into a studio and forever changed the trajectory of hip-hop. Her name was Lolita Shanté Gooden, but the world would come to know her simply as Roxanne Shanté. Behind her sharp tongue and fierce delivery, however, was a young girl nursing deep emotional wounds, surviving unspeakable abuse, and somehow finding strength in the chaos that surrounded her. Her breakthrough moment came in 1984, when hip-hop was still in its raw and unfiltered form. Every borough in New York City was trying to stake its claim, and in the middle of this musical turf war was a teenage girl from the Queensbridge projects. UTFO, a popular group at the time, released a track titled Roxanne, Roxanne, where they humorously complained about a fictional woman who constantly turned them down. The beat was catchy, but the lyrics reeked of arrogance. In the heart of Queensbridge, the song sparked more than just conversations, it sparked a movement. Marley Marl, an emerging producer who would later become a legend, saw potential in crafting a direct response. He handed Shanté the beat, expecting maybe a few written lines. But Roxanne didn't need a pen. She walked into the booth, pressed record, and freestyled her reply on the spot. What she delivered was more than a diss, it was a declaration. She flipped UTFO's narrative on its head, roasting them with a cold confidence and unapologetic sass that had never been heard from someone so young. Her voice was powerful, her flow effortless, and her presence undeniable. Roxanne's revenge spread like wildfire. New York DJs couldn't spin it fast enough, and seemingly overnight, everyone was asking, "Who is this girl?" At just 14, Roxanne had gone from the corners of Queensbridge to the epicenter of the rap universe. She wasn't just responding to a song, she was claiming space in a genre that barely recognized women. But before she became a household name, she was just a little girl trying to survive in one of the harshest environments imaginable. Queensbridge wasn't built for dreams. It was the largest public housing project in North America, where brick buildings stretched endlessly and playgrounds were made of concrete. Poverty wasn't just present, it was suffocating. Children like Roxanne learned too much too soon. Crime, broken homes, and lost innocence were all part of the landscape. By the age of 9, Shanté had started rapping. Not for fun, not to chase fame, but as a way to release the pain and pressure that threatened to crush her. By 10, she was already battling older boys and grown men in street ciphers and winning. That same year, she entered her first rap contest and walked away with $50, no small sum in the projects. That money didn't just represent victory, it meant food, electricity, survival. Childhood for Roxanne had ended before it even began. She was a standout talent in a male-dominated world, not just holding her own, but dominating. The streets recognized her gift, but that didn't protect her from the dangers of growing up as a young girl in the hood. She later recalled how adult men approached her when she was only 12, forcing her to learn the rules of survival far earlier than any child should have to. Innocence wasn't an option. She had to grow up fast, learning harsh lessons in the hallways of apartment buildings where she sometimes had to sleep. Her childhood was marred by instability. She often didn't know where she would lay her head at night. During a candid conversation with the late DMX, Roxanne spoke of sleeping on friends' couches, in building lobbies, or even near train tracks when no safe place was available. She and DMX, two icons in their own right, connected over shared pain. When he told her how his mother had left him at a children's home under the pretense of a short visit and never came back, she didn't flinch. She understood. Her silence spoke volumes. She had lived it too. The betrayal, the abandonment. When she became pregnant at 15, her body was still healing from a brutal assault by an older man, someone who she once trusted, someone who had promised love and security, but delivered only pain. She carried her son Kareem in her arms while most girls her age were worried about school dances. Her ribs were still healing from the beatings. The man who abused her broke her spirit, shattered her body, and then vanished. He had once adorned her in mink coats, promising a fairy tale life that never came. In her biopic, Roxanne, parts of this horrifying relationship are shown, but even that doesn't fully capture the trauma. What happened wasn't just domestic abuse, it was statutory rape. An adult manipulating and controlling a vulnerable girl in search of love and stability. As her music career was taking off, her personal life was falling apart. Industry executives saw her talent but turned a blind eye to her suffering. Rumors swirled, but as long as the records sold and the shows were packed, nobody intervened. Roxanne would often arrive at studios wearing sunglasses to hide her bruised eyes. Producers rushed her into recording booths, prioritizing tracks over her well-being. Managers encouraged her to push through the pain. She had no time to recover. Fame doesn't pause for healing. Between shows, she would rush back home to care for her child, still navigating the horrors of an abusive relationship. Her lyrics hinted at the anguish, but she rarely let the full truth escape. On the mic, she was a queen. At home, she was a battered mother, barely holding on.